Okay, guys, we have some updates for you out of Uvalde. One of them good. One of them I just can't even wrap my head around what they continue to do down there. Let's go ahead and put this first part up on the screen. So they hired this ex-Texas trooper, this woman,
Yep.
who was actually at the shooting, okay, the day of that horrific, unconscionable massacre. She was one of the first people into the building after the gunman. And she is one of 7 troopers who are actively under investigation for their failures on that day. And this woman, the Uvalde School District, turns around and hires for their specific, school district police force. What are you doing? Now, they've since been forced to reverse course because the outcry over this, understandably, was so loud and so great that they had to ultimately, go back and let go of this woman. But what the hell are they ultimately thinking? And by the way, this was not some oversight. There were documents that were released that showed that they were made aware of the fact that she was there and that she was under investigation for her failures on that day. And they still, Saagar, went ahead and hired her.
Yeah, the Uvalde family victims put out a joint statement saying, quote, "We are disgusted and angry at Uvalde CISD's decision to hire her. Her hiring puts into question the credibility and thoroughness of their HR and vetting practices." Yeah, you think? Continuing, "And it confirms what we've been saying all along. UCISD has not and is not in the business of ensuring the safety of our children at school." I don't think you could possibly deny that. Even representatives from that area are saying that this trooper was on the scene within 2 minutes and failed to follow training protocol and duty she was sworn to. People's children died because officials failed to do their jobs. And then she was turned around and hired her. These people, it's like a den of the most useless rats possible. All they're capable of doing, apparently, in this CISD school district was, covering up both for Pete Arredondo, the CISD chief, who made the decision not to go in the first place, and apparently hire other people who are, also involved in the cover-up. And, also, what was it? Intimidating that mom who spoke out against their failures. Just, it's an insanity down.
It really, I can't explain it other than just total nepotism and corruption. Just this good old boys and apparently good old girls club looking out for each other above any and all other principles. She was literally the first DPS member to enter the hallway at that elementary school after the shooter gained entry. She didn't bring her rifle or her vest into the school, according to the results of an internal review. And yet, this is someone that they thought would be appropriate to put on the Uvalde School Police District Force. So in the wake of all of this, the more positive update here, let's go ahead and put this up on the screen. Long overdue. Uvalde School District suspends their entire police force. The superintendent is also going to retire amid fallout from the shooting. I think the superintendent was probably involved in some of the cover-up here, since it seems like everybody in any position of power was involved in the cover-up here. So they say that the school district, still facing withering criticism, announced the suspension of their entire district police force on Friday. This is actually a relatively small number of people because we're not talking about the overall Uvalde police, which, in my opinion, everyone who was at that freaking school on that day should be suspended and ultimately fired. But they're just suspending the school district police force, which is 4 people.
It was
relatively
6 people.
Small.
Yeah, but to be fair, they were the ones who made the call not to go into the building. The Pete Arredondo specifically. I agree, which is that it's not just them. Arredondo was the fall guy, and so is you had federal marshals, you had
Rangers.
Texas DPS, Border Patrol. We've all seen the photos. We've all seen the video about what happened in the hallway. Every single person who did not actively try to break the commander's protocol and go in should be fired. And in my opinion, those at the top should be criminally prosecuted for negligence and negligent homicide. I know that's not how the law works, Supreme Court decision, etc. I just said in my opinion. I know that that's not going to happen. The point is, though, is that there are a hell of a lot more people who need to be held to account. And I think a lot of Texas authorities are hoping that the world just moves on. Some people had attention to the story, and I get it. We started with Russia, with all that. Of course, nuclear issues are always going to trump this, but this was a scandal of which the country cannot and should not move on from. And I think the whole world, put gun policy aside, what did we all agree on? These people have got to pay. And so, you know, until they do, I don't think that we should drop it at all.
Yeah, exactly. And certainly the parents who lost their kids because of the cowardice demonstrated on that day have not forgotten. And, you know, I think we also have to remember all of the public officials who were involved in covering this up and lying on behalf of the police and trying to make it sound like, oh, they were brave and they were out there getting shot at and getting injured, and all of this stuff turned out to be complete and utter nonsense. So at least some tiny, small step forward in terms of accountability, but obviously far from what the unconscionable nature of that situation ultimately demands. Cable news is ripping us apart, dividing the country, making it impossible to function as a society, and making it impossible to know just what is true and what is false. But the good news is they are failing and they know it.
That is why we're building something new, a new mainstream, a healthier one, something more trustworthy, something that we are going to need in one of the most pivotal times in American history. We are building up here for the midterms, for the upcoming presidential election, but we need your help. So if you can help us out by becoming a premium member today at breakingpoints.com, we're trying to change America for the better and the entire world.
So what are you waiting for, guys? Go to breakingpoints.com and sign up and help us build a new mainstream.